So I'm very excited to show you today the Violin 1 section from the new library by Auddict, which is called United Strings of Europe. Um, if you're like me, you've got lots of string libraries, and there are lots of people out there making lots of really good string libraries. But every so often, it's nice to get a different sound, to get a different idea, certainly see what some of the other manufacturers are doing. Obviously, a lot of people swear by the kind of the gold standards, as it were, East West and Spitfire Audio. But this one is from Auddict. Auddict are, I guess, an up and coming library manufacturer. They've produced some brass libraries. They've gone through the woodwind section, and now they're working on the strings library. Auddict seem to design their GUIs and their libraries different each time. Maybe it's just a process of growth, but it's a little bit frustrating because you get the new library and it's completely different to their last library, and it's very hard to navigate around sometimes. But thankfully, they are the masters of the single window GUI. So most of the libraries only have a single window GUI, and you've either got some knobs and buttons and dials to play with to give you the control you need. This is a first violin orchestral library, fairly large string section, nice warm sound, with multiple articulations, including polyphonic, legato, portamento, tremolando, some harmonics, trill, staccato, piz, and this new one, salute, as they call it, which is a kind of a fast struck staccato type articulation. We'll play it in a second. They've got a huge array of mics. Again, Auddict have become rather famous for lots of mics, and this is no exception. This library has 7 different microphones, tree from the sides, tree in the mid, outriggers, a desk 1 spot and a desk 2 spot. They've got a rib spot and then some room ambience. They've also got a convolution reverb, which you can dial up and dial down and assign to MIDI. All of these can be assigned by right-clicking and Learn MIDI CC Automation. And this is a great one for this company. For the first time, they've included these little P's. And these little P's, you'll be pleased to know, are purge. While they're red, they're not loading the samples, and while they're not red, they're loading the samples. So just to show you, if you unclick all of the purges and load all the articulations and all of the microphones for this single violin section, you're looking at just over 2.5 gigabytes of memory. And this is an optimized library that I've optimized by doing a batch resave and also changing the buffer settings within Contact for SSD use, because I'm running this off an SSD. So it may be even slightly bigger if you're doing off a hard disk. So just be really careful about this library. You could just completely blow your RAM. But the great news is that you can just click on these little chaps and you can mute them. So I'm going to mute the desk spots, the tree, actually leave the side trees on, and leave those 3 mics on. And that gives me a fairly sensible 1 gigabyte. I mean, most computers with kind of 16 or 32 gig should be able to cope with this adequately. I've loaded up the Violin 1 Expressive Realistic Legato patch. There is a second patch you can see down the bottom here, which is just Violin 1. The Expressive Realistic Legato patch has a lot more scripting going on for the legato and portamento articulations, but I'm going to use this one just for this demonstration today. The second patch, the violin patch, is very similar to this one. It's just that the legato and the portamento aren't quite as, I guess, sexy as you'd call it. But there we are. So this is the GUI. You've got this big... Oh, I've just clicked on the wrong thing. You've got this big gold knob here, which, as I've just found out, you can't drag and drop. You have to click on the words. It would be nice if you could just drag and drop the gold knob, but you can't. These words represent the different articulations, and they're also key switchable using the bottom octave of my keyboard here, and you can see I can switch between all the different articulations. So that's quite straightforward and usual. It has the usual range for a violin, which is fine. So for slotting this into an existing arrangement should be fairly easily done, and then you just play. So I'm just going to do some playing. I'm going to use the poly articulation first, and the mod lever is assigned to the dynamics, and like I think all their other libraries, they have failed to put any indication of what level of dynamics you are currently sat at within the GUI. Most other libraries at least have some kind of dial If you look at Spitfire, they've got a little dial that shows where you are. If you look at Berlin, you've got that as well. So that's a bit frustrating, but you just have to look at the model lever and work out where you are. So I'm just going to mute the other articulation and just highlight the one that we want to look at, and just play some of the polyphonic strings using the model lever to bring them in and out of the mix using the dynamics. As the polyphonic violin section goes, that's actually really pretty. It's a lovely sound. You've got lots of rosin on the pianissimo articulations, which are really nice when you pull the mod lever all the way back and just play. You can really hear the scratchiness there. And as you scroll forward, you get that lovely warmth, and it's a beautiful woody warmth. Certainly these guys at Auddict know how to sample. They're doing a really good job of getting their sound good. So apart from any other niggles I may have, the sound is in this library is spot on. So let's go to the legato. The legato and the portamento really have to work hand in hand, so they are next to each other. They're quite a long way down the keyboard, and it'd be nice if you could change the key switches. I guess you could remap them somewhere else, but it would be nice to have them a bit higher up. I know why they've done this, but it would maybe nice anyway. So you've got those two key switches, legato and portamento, on C sharp and D. It's also worth remembering you've also got this A note up the top. You can see it just here. There's this kind of grey note, the A. The A is a rebow. So if you're playing a note, let's just play one, and you hit the A, it does a rebow for you, which is lovely for legato lines. You can sustain and then you can just rebow and carry on playing, because of course a normal violinist won't be able to sustain a note indefinitely without rebowing. So you can use it to add phrase, but you could also use it to add a bit more realism to your performance. So if all their other libraries, so the violas or second violins, violas, cello and bass come in with the same functionality, that's going to be really quite nice to bring that lovely rich string sound. So just by using the legato, portamento and that A down the bottom to do the rebowing, you can get some really delicate and quite stunning legato lines. So, it's gentle. That was an appalling melody, but really gentle and a beautiful sound. And the combination of that legato and the portamento and the re-triggering just lends itself to a very delicate and very convincing, I'd say, performance, which is great. So that's the legato and the portamento together. You wouldn't want to sit in portamento all day. It would sound pretty weird, but it's nice to be able to have them just switching between the two of them. You've then got tremolando, which is a non-tempo synced trem. And this is polyphonic. There's not much expression in the trems. That's PP, and that's F. Well, they're not responding at all to the mod lever, so that's a bit weird, but they are velocity sensitive. So it might be nice for the trems also to run off the CC rather than being velocity sensitive. Quite hard to do nice big flowing tremolando lines if they're not controlled by the mod lever. Bit frustrating. So then we move on from the tremolando to the harmonics. Again, a beautiful, delicate sound, but no dynamic control. So you just have to live with what you've got there. The trills are very well programmed, and they are very simple. You play your first note, you then play your second note, whether it be a major or a minor, and the trills will start off automatically. So nice and simply, just press D and then E, E and F and G. You get the nice trills. D and E flat. So really intuitive. You just choose two notes. As long as it's only a second, major or minor second, it does a trill. So they're really clever. I love them. They've used them before in their flute and clarinet libraries, which I use a lot, and they're cracking. So well done for doing nice trills. You then got the staccato articulation. This isn't a big, rich, in-your-face staccato. It's a very, very delicate staccato, velocity sensitive, and is really quite pretty. It's incredibly velocity sensitive, so you can, as I'm doing now, hit somewhere about 20 or 30 velocity range, and you hear absolutely nothing at all. So you have to hammer them quite hard, and as far as I can tell, there's no way of changing that. So that's quite interesting. What is quite nice, though, is if you unmute all your other mics, bring in the room a bit more, bring in the tree, the desk spot, and then play that same kind of passage again on these mics with this articulation. You get a lovely room ambience. It is a really nice set of samples. So let's just go back to where we were before. Riggers, get rid of the spots, just have the room and the outriggers. There we go. So that's the staccato. You then got the pizzicato. No surprises with pizzicato. It's just a pizzicato. I'm kind of getting bored of pizzicato. I've got about 100 string libraries, all which have a very nice pizzicato. I guess it's not a particularly complicated one to sample, and you can just put as many round robins as you like in because the memory usage is tiny. And there are round robins here. So you get a good effect if you do repeated notes, and of course you may well end up doing that with pizzicato strings. And then this last articulation, the salute as they call it, but it's I can't remember what it's short for, to be honest, is a really nice fast attack kind of marcato spiccato combi. And you can do really, really nice little ostinatos like that, or little runs. I haven't played any programmed in, so I'm not going to try and play anything outstanding just off the cuff. But really nice sound. And up the top, really Really nice. And you can't do those kind of fast playing with a staccato. It's too long. It sounds a bit weird. So those articulations there, I can see myself. I can see myself using that kind of articulation a lot. So very nice. The sound of this library is very big. It's got a very big reverberating reverb over the top. You can turn that off completely, of course, and just listen to the mics that it recorded with. And actually, and you'll notice there's another little annoyance there. They just cut out. There we are, just an idle cutout. So let's turn all the mics up and see what that natural reverberation sounds like. Just, turn one up. So that's why they use this reverb, clearly. This reverb softens out those abrupt ends to the samples. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so I'm criticizing this one, but I really don't have much of a leg to stand on because it only cost £50 plus VAT, so that's £60 cash to buy this library or buy this string section. And actually, that's not a bad price for what it is. I do wish Auddict would. I either get better beta testers that are slightly more critical, or think about the programming a little bit more to get some of these rough edges rounded off before releasing these libraries. This has got amazing potential. It's a really nice sounding library, and I really do like it, and I'm going to be using it, even if it's just for the legato and portamento and this salute articulation. It's beautiful, but I think it just needs refining. So maybe they're using this first release cheap Violin 1 to give us an idea of what to expect, and maybe they'll use this as a tool to enhance their later releases. So if you're listening, Auddict, take note, because I love it. I think it's brilliant, but I'm not going to be buying your Violin 2s, violas, cellos or basses unless you fix these problems.